My friend Christina is out on a date. She goes to meet this guy, hadn't met him before. She walks into the place where they're meeting, and immediately, as soon as she sees him, something's off. She can't really explain why. There's no rhyme or reason to it. And she notices after just a few minutes that her leg is starting to shake. He's being overly complimentary in ways that don't really make sense. And then after 20 minutes, she simply says to herself, I want to leave.
Slowly close itself.
We're going to talk about two things today as it relates to the yes versus no in relationship to another. First thing is understanding when I have a response in my body, is that my intuition speaking or is it my protector speaking? And we discussed this in the previous video, that you have to get out of your thoughts when you're really connecting to intuition. You have to sense and let that guide towards relief versus experiencing stress. But when we're in relationship to another, this gets more challenging because there's a lot more input. We're not only dealing with ourselves, we're dealing with all of the stimulus coming from the world. We're dealing with somebody else presenting themselves to us in a particular way. And the second thing we're going to talk about is how in the shared space, we actually both feel the same thing at the same time. Christina calls me up and asks if her experience in the bar is the same kind of mechanism at play that we had discussed in the previous video of understanding yes versus no. So we went into it a little more deeply and talked about the different sensations she was experiencing beyond just the shaking of her leg. And she found that as he was being overly complimentary, she just felt really uncomfortable in her body and actually had a sense of yuckiness whenever he would compliment her in ways that just didn't make sense. The sense of yuckiness that rises is really an indicator of misalignment, that what is being presented outwardly is not aligning with the truth inwardly. When we're in relationship to another, now we have these old protectors that are going to be at play, because it's in relationship where we learn to protect ourselves in our family of origin. So it's going to happen that all of our protectors will come up that says, it's not safe to be around a man, it's not safe to be vulnerable and experience love, so we're going to cut ourselves off from that. And to understand whether or not intuition is at play versus those protectors is whether or not there's repetition. If you are experiencing your intuition, it's going to come out of nowhere in a way that's new, and there's a certain tonal quality to it where there's just something that's catching your attention that you cannot let go of. Now, protectors show up in a very similar way. So what you find is if Christina, for example, keeps going out on dates and every single guy she sits down with, her legs start shaking and she wants to leave after 20 minutes, that's an indication that that's her protector and not her intuition. But she subsequently described to me that she has gone out on other dates and has had good times, but decided not to continue with them. No big deal. So we know that since she is not in a pattern of protection, that the same response is coming up every single time, that she's actually in her intuition. When you create a shared space with another in relationship, you both feel the same thing at the same time. I'm going to say that again. You both feel the same thing at the same time. Now, the real question is whether or not both people are sensitive to what's actually true in the shared space. A lot of times people who can't feel it are because they aren't practiced at being able to sense what's going on in their body, because all of the information comes through the body. And if you haven't practiced feeling what's actually happening, what's true for you in the moment, you're not going to be able to feel the truth of the shared space. You'll be stuck in your head, you'll be stuck in logic, and you'll be stuck in patterns from your protectors. To have somebody else in a shared space feel exactly what you feel, a lot of people feel unsafe at that. It's incredibly vulnerable to be in a relationship. Intimacy is vulnerable. All of us in the entire world have the capacity to sense the energy that's in the play. I would say that women are by far better at this than men, and have been historically. That's just the way it is. Sorry guys, we've got a lot of work to do. We're here to offer ourselves to the world. We're here to give our deepest gifts, to live our greatest dreams. And the only way that happens is when we start relating to the rest of the world and understanding the ways in which the light bends and twists through us and comes into manifestation to the different people that we encounter along the way, through the different businesses that we create, through the different art that we create. First thing we have to do is always do the work on ourselves. We have to understand the yes versus no in our body, experiencing stress, experiencing relief. We have to do that work. It's the basis for everything. It is only when we start to really interact that we begin to embody who we are. It's the other half. You can't just be by yourself. It must be moved into the world. The gift must be offered. And this is why we do the work of understanding the yes versus no in relationship. Go out, keep practicing. Send me questions. Love you. Talk to you soon.